Hello my friends here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how and why you want to write morally gray characters in your stories, and well, you really absolutely want to do them because, well, you'll find out why when I tell you in the video, so stay tuned. But first, before we get into that, I am going to do the cover reveal for the new cover for book 2 of my Vigilante Justice series, No Rest for the Vengeful. And here it is. Awesome, isn't it? By the time you see this video, book 1 of the series will be available with the new cover, and book 2 will be available with the new cover in March. And now to this week's video. Why you want to have morally gray characters in your story. Number 1. Enhanced character complexity. Very few of us are pure evil or pure good, and thus it will make your character feel more like a real person. An example of this would be in a crime fiction story, you have the detective who will bend the rules for the greater good, but keeping it a secret from his colleagues. Another example would be the villain with a sympathetic backstory. This is something that could explain but not excuse their actions. Let's say your villain is somebody who was screwed over by an investment scammer, and so he decided to take revenge, but instead of going after the scammer, he goes after his children. Number 2. Increased conflict and tension. Like, for instance, you have a leader who wants to be benevolent towards his or her people, but he also has to consider the welfare of the people he is leading and dominion over. However, someone commits a crime that could put the community at great risk of mass starvation or something along those lines. This could be a crime punishable by execution. This could lead to internal conflict in the leader because later he doesn't really want to put someone to death, but the people are demanding the execution. Another source of external conflict in this situation would be that the family of the criminal will likely be none too happy if their loved one gets executed. Another example is to populate your world with normal, everyday people who face moral dilemmas. One of these could be the doctor who has to choose between who gets the life-saving surgery. He can only do one, so whose life does he save? The person he knows or the one he doesn't? Well, next, you're waiting for it. Number 3, realism in world building. A lot of us in real life are faced with choices. It has been said that most people are honest when they have to be, and dishonest when they can get away with it. For example, if you found $200 in cash lying in a parking lot by someone's car, would you pocket the money, or would you try to find the rightful owner? It could help you around Christmas or any other holiday, but it would also mess up their holiday. Example in fiction would be to say, let's say you are writing a dystopian story where the world has melted down for whatever reason. You could have an authority figure who enforces harsh laws, but has genuine care for the people in his community. You are then blurring the lines between oppressor and protector. You can also have side characters who have shifting loyalties throughout the story. Maybe the side character is loyal to the villain because he saved his life at one point, or did something along those lines of paying for a police officer's child to have a life-saving operation. And now the cop is beholden to the criminal and has to go through the dilemma of potentially destroying or ignoring evidence that could lead to the criminal's arrest and conviction. That could be a problem, isn't it? A real problem. But number 4, you also make it more engaging for the reader. In a scenario like what was mentioned above, you can create sympathy for the character among your readers, and maybe have them think of what they would do in that situation. So, what would you do if you were a police officer and your child needed that life-saving operation, and then perhaps an outlaw biker or other organized criminal offers to pay for it outright? Knowing that you would now owe that biker for perhaps the rest of your career, if not your whole life, would you take the money? Another way this becomes more engaging for the reader is they will likely want to keep reading to see if the character will choose the road to redemption or go further into descent into darkness. Will that cop be able to get out from under the biker's thumb? Or will he like the money he's making too much and go further to the dark side and come up for a fall? interesting way to play it out, wouldn't it be? Yep. Number 5. It gives you flexibility in plot development. You don't have to be a yogi when you're doing that, but anyway, a trusted ally of the hero or villain could at some point reveal different motivations from the main character. It's best to do this at a pivotal moment, and you can shift the narrative of your story. Maybe the character was in it for the money initially, like Han Solo in Star Wars, and then comes back to help save the day. Yeah. You can also have a character switch allegiance midway through the story, or at any other point. Or perhaps it was revealed that the trusted ally of the hero was never on the hero's side. Maybe he was a spy looking to get into the hero's sister's pants. That was why he was a spy for the villain. He didn't care about why the villain was doing what he did. Number 6. You can explore deep things. Show your character struggling internally with right and wrong. Like the police officer mentioned above. It would obviously be wrong to destroy evidence that would lead to a biker's conviction, if not destroyed, but he did it to get the money to pay for a life-saving operation, even knowing that he would forever be under the biker's thumb. How does he redeem himself? Will he have to do any personal sacrifice to do so? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe the biker gets killed, and he's no longer with him. Anyway, you can also contrast 2 different morally ambiguous characters. Each of them have their own motivations. One is doing it for the money, and the other is doing it for the adventure. This could be fun to play with in your story, and this could be when do they decide that the money isn't worth the risk, or the adventure is too dangerous even for a thrill-seeking adrenaline junkie. Anyway, number 7. Fostering audience identification and empathy. One example is you create a flawed hero who has his ethical missteps, but through personal growth, he mirrors real-life complexity. After all, we've all done things in our past and maybe even our future. Present, we wish we didn't, haven't we? You can also have a secondary characters that, even though they have shortcomings, you endear them to the reader by giving them relatable qualities. Perhaps one character is lonely and wants a connection but goes about it in bad ways. You can have your imagination run wild on that. You can also 8. Provoke moral dilemmas and philosophical questions. Remember my police officer example from earlier? A definite moral dilemma. What would you do to save your child? Would you take the money to pay for the operation knowing that by destroying or ignoring evidence it could lead to someone else getting killed in the future? You can also write scenarios where character decisions challenge the moral binaries, which might have your readers rethink what constitutes a hero or a villain. Number 9. By writing morally gray characters, you're avoiding stereotypes. And you do that by giving your hero some qualities that you would normally associate with a villain, and vice versa. Remember that evil never thinks it's evil, and everyone is the hero of their own story. After all, it is fun to defy easy characterizations. And you can also have a mentor figure who, through unorthodox methods and any moral compromises you can come up with, will challenge the reader and hero's expectations. Number 10. Reflecting cultural and societal complexity. Your character might very well have pressures being imposed on them from cultural, familial, or societal expectations. This will influence their ethical choices. Perhaps you have 2 female characters, one from a more liberal society where women are more free to make choices for their lives, the other from a society where women are expected to be subservient to men in everything, perhaps not even being allowed to look a man in the eye when speaking. There are those cultures. This will create some different choices as to how the characters act. And people also have different histories that influence their lives. Which will mean that not everything is always so black and white, hence gray areas in between. So there you have it. My 10 reasons why you must use morally gray characters in your writing. Don't forget to smash that like button and ring that bell for notification for when I release new videos, and subscribe to my channel. And if you're so inclined, you can subscribe to my newsletter where you will get a free short story. The link is in the channel's description. Have a great day and week. Until next time, so long.